Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the weekly daily refinement mastermind on YouTube, but we do it daily in the group Monday through Friday. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I wanted to talk today about specifically how to make $100,000 a year on eBay or Poshmark. And a lot of people in the group have been talking about Tech's theory of, not theory, but Tech's idea of $13, $20 items per day. Being about $100,000 per year. So I'm going to repeat that, maybe write it down. 13 items per day, 7 days a week, times $20 profit. If you follow the steps in this group, you should be able to take 13 sets of photos in 13 minutes. Let's say that you take 3 minutes to list an item. That's another 40 minutes or so. You're done in about an hour. So we're talking about 1 hour's photo listing, putting it away, 7 hours of shopping to look for $13, $20 items. That's the model that we're talking about today. I think it's the same on Poshmark. It's the same on Mercari. The only difference would be if the sell-through rate is slower, that means you need more items. Hopefully everybody writes that down. eBay is supposed to have the most traffic. So, because it has the most monthly users. So more people use eBay than Mercari or Poshmark. So in theory, you would need less items in your store to sell 13 per day. At 1% sell-through rate, that's 1,300 items. That would fit in a 2-car garage easily if you are really efficient in 1 bedroom. And depending on what you sell, you know, it's a goal that everyone can do at home. Yep. So that's the plan. So tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but this Friday, we're doing the first live event at my warehouse, and I'm gonna list 30 items on Poshmark. We can do eBay, or maybe somebody else if they want to go over the eBay listing flow. We can do it together. But I'm gonna start with taking 30 pictures of shoes. Yes, Kelly. So that's 7 hours of shopping every single day. So 7 days a week of shopping. It depends on how long it takes you to find the items. For some people, it won't take 7 hours to find 13 items. If you find 2 items an hour, you can basically take one weekend day off. You can find 2 items per hour. And I think pretty much everyone here, if you go to a thrift store, should be able to find 1 item per hour at least to get started, and then work your way up to 2 per hour. But on Friday, I'm going to do Poshmark. I'm going to take 30 sets of photos of shoes, and I'm going to list 30 sets of photos of shoes, and we'll see how long it takes. Lisa wants the numbers again, so we'll repeat it again. And then in the group, I want to ask everybody today how you are going to do that. So it's 13 items a day times $20 profit is like $99,000 a year, 100K. So that would mean when you go to the thrift store, pass on everything that sells for less than $30 to be safe. Just say no. Under $30, it's okay. Leave it for the next person. You just stick to the 30 and above. If you are a poker player, that means fold everything that's not jacks or better. You don't have a good hand, don't play it. Just to see what happens is what people do at the casino. Let's just see what happens. That's not a good strategy. The house is hoping that you do that. They don't want you to go in when the odds are stacked against you. I mean, when the odds are, go ahead.
If you're shopping 7 hours a day and we're listing 13, how long are you assuming on the average it takes to prep and list and put away 13?
An hour.
And how long does it take to ship 13?
On eBay, 13 minutes.
Okay, so we add 7 hours. Is that including your travel time? Is that your whole 7 hours is your acquisition time, including I'm left and I'm back? I'm trying to figure out how many hours a day.
Let's call it 6 hours.
Okay.
So let's say 6 hours shopping. You need to find a little more than 2 items per hour, right?
Right.
Let's say that
that's reasonable.
Of the 6 hours, let's say that you're driving 5 of it.
Okay, but that's still, it takes you 6 hours from me leaving the door to coming back. We're guessing 6 hours.
Yeah, you leave door to door.
Is this an 8-hour day, a 9-hour day? How many hours?
8-hour day.
And it's 7 days a week?
7 days a week. But if you want to do it in 5 days, It's just
You
a,
just,
it's
yeah.
a, do you guys want to do it for 5 days?
I'm just trying to figure out how much an hour, if I'm making 100,000 a year and I'm working 56 hours a week,
Right.
how much an hour I'm making.
Let's see. I can tell you. Assume you work 7 days a week. You make 36 an hour.
Okay, thanks.
And can you, so people are giving different scenarios, and we have calculators in the group, of course, for you to type in whatever your scenario is. But the point of this is I'm not actually, for somebody in the group today, right now, live on YouTube, we're going to make the schedule for them to do it so that you can see it. Because right now we're talking 13 times 20. And some people will be able to do that and make their own schedule. Some people need a little more hand holding. That's completely fine, but you would need me to make an actual schedule for you. So why don't we try that? We'll do it. Let's go wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 a.m. wake up. Customer service, shipping, put items. Actually, no, we're going to start with customer service and shipping. So wake up, do customer service and shipping. You have 13 items to ship. This should honestly take you half an hour. But if you are, let's say you have to drive to a storage unit that's 10 minutes away, get your items, drive back 10 minutes, an hour maximum. Okay, so then from 8 till 9 a.m., you're going to list 13 items. So wake up at 7, get your coffee, do your customer service, get your shipping, get a second cup of coffee, okay? Walk the dog, have breakfast, have a glass of water, throw some lemon in there, call your mom, tell her you love her, still have time, okay? Then it's 8 o'clock, 8 in the morning, you list your 13 items, then you drive to your first thrift store, which is half an hour away. They open at 9:30, okay? From 9:30 till 3, you're going to be out in the wild, and your goal is to find 13 items. Hopefully, it doesn't take you that long, for God's sake. Please study your niche so it doesn't take you 6 hours to find 13 items. $30 plus shipping, just to be safe. You can do $30 including shipping, but we're trying to be super safe here, okay? So you're out there for 6 hours out in the wild to find 13 items. Come home, it's 3:30. 3:30 to 4, right? When you get home, 3:30 to 4, reset to 0. Put the 13 items that you have into an area that's ready to be listed in the future. Don't have more than 13 times 14 items. So don't have more than 182 items that are not listed. Let's call 200. So if you have a death pile, profit pile, money queue, unintentional savings account, whatever you call your death pile, no more than 14 days worth. So that's 200, 180-ish items, burn pile, whatever it is, 182 of those. If you have more than that, stop shopping and list more. Lisa is saying, does everyone wash their items? Most people do. Some people wash some items and don't wash other items. So when you can come home during that half an hour, 3:30 to 4, you would throw your items into the wash. But 13 items is not too many, right? 13 items, you could do a speed wash and still be done in an hour. Right? Wake up at 7 a.m., do customer service, shipping, 2 cups of coffee, walk the dog, say hi to your wife, use the bathroom, glass of water. 8 to 9, list 13 items. Put your phone in a drawer if you need to do that. 9:30 to 3:30, go out in the wild and go treasure hunting, right? Listen to YouTube along the way or the podcast. Come home. On the way, 9:30 to 3:30, might as well take your 13 packages with you to the post office. Go earlier in the day. Be the first in line at 2 or 3 thrift stores and then go to the post office. 13 items is not that much. You could drive a Mini Cooper and still fit 13 items in your car. So there's no excuse there. You could ride the bus and take 13 items with you. Yeah, it's not a ton. Kelly, most people ship at the beginning of the day. You don't have to ship at the beginning of the day. You could ship at the end of the day. And in the morning when you wake up, have a few, like let's say you sell 13 items and at 8 p.m. you want to ship 12 of them. And when you wake up, you only have one to ship. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just being proactive. I'm just talking about being done at 4 and having a life. Right? Done at 4. You can hang out you can go on a date. You could go on 2 dates with 2 different people if you want. Right? You could go to bingo night. You could watch a movie. You could watch Lord of the Rings every day if you wanted to and still be done. Make $100,000 a year and be done at 4. And you can eat whatever you want. Eating has nothing to do with this goal. You can eat whatever you want. You can have ice cream as your reward at 9 in the morning if you want, because you're an adult. Whatever you want to do. So there's your plan for 100K a year. Wake up at 7, customer service, ship, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. List your 13 items. So I'm going to do something really ridiculous on Friday. At the live event, I'm going to list 30 of the exact same item, just in different colors. And I feel like that's hilarious, because people are going to say, oh, that's not fair. You list all the same kinds of items. And then we're going to say, that's the point of this group. Because I don't want it to take all day. If I take all day, then all the people who come hang out with me, I won't be able to hang out with them. I'm just going to be working. Sorry, I can't. I'm working today. Your kid's like, no, daddy, please, no work today. Sorry, I didn't get my listings done and I'm not efficient, so I can't see you till 9 p.m. when you're going to bed. Please, no, I haven't seen you all week. Too bad. I don't know what I'm doing and I'm an everything seller. That doesn't work. You have to get your work done if you want to play with your kids. All right. I'm off my rant, but that's the plan. 100K a year, 13 times 20. One more thought for you guys. Okay. If you write this down, 13 times 20. Also, you could choose 26 times 10. Okay. So 26 items times $10 profit. You could pick 52 $5 profit items. So 52 times 5. We went over this yesterday. Who wants to list 52 $5 items a day? Anybody? That sounds brutal. Okay, because this is what your day looks like. You ready? Wake up at 7, do your customer service and shipping, which is going to take you 2 hours now instead of half an hour because you have so much stuff to ship. So now you're at 9 in the morning, right? You go to one thrift store, buy 55 items, come home, right? Get home, doing laundry for 2 hours, and then you're listing until midnight. And sometimes you say hi to your family. That's a totally different schedule, but I did that in the beginning too, because I just heard like list. Not one person when I started said do research. Literally none. None of the people I followed on YouTube were like, you know what? Today I'm gonna go into the eBay solds and I'm gonna spend 8 hours in there figuring out what to sell. So, guys, we're gonna add this into the group free of charge. On Fridays, I want to do Bolo Day. Okay. So on Fridays, every time when you come to this call on Friday, I want to just have everyone in the group, you research a $20 profit item in your niche for an hour. Let's just do it together. Why not? And we'll be teaching you guys how to fish. So you tell us, okay, I sell baskets that were woven underwater, right? Let's find out which ones are actually worth $20 profit. If you sell cast iron, most cast iron is not a $20 profit. Some is. Let's find out which ones. But it only matters if you look it up in your niche. If you just listen to it, it doesn't matter too much. Like it matters a little bit, but like being an expert in makeup for me, as an example, is not that useful because I don't list makeup. Although I am shocked at that category. Yesterday, I was looking at a brand which is not that well known, or maybe it is. It's called Doll 10. And I was looking at a few of these cosmetics on eBay. Some of them have 50 listed and 200 sold. That's ridiculous. That's so fast. That means that you could list it and it'll sell probably within 3 weeks. But that being said, you now all know that Doll 10 is not terrible. It's okay because it sells fast, but for only $12. You know that, but it's not that useful as if you did it for yourself in your niche, right? So that's what I want to do on Fridays every week. I'm very excited. So if you're doing the low ASP number, which, on Tuesdays, we have the 100K call, the 250K call, and the $2 million call. As you start to get higher and higher, the profit margin tends to drop, right? So most people at the highest level is thousands of items a day for $1 profit. And that was, let's see, 16,000. Okay, so Jack Shang, at the peak of being number one on eBay, sold 16,000 items a day for 30 cents profit a piece. That's wild, right? We're talking about a $6.50 average sale price. That's really low for those not paying attention. $6.50 per item, but 16,000 of those a day. So he did $60 million in sales and $1 million profit. And some people said, I would pass on that. Bro, you don't pass on that. He has $1 million house, brand new car, tons of savings, number one on eBay. You're going to pass on that so you can do your store? No, I don't think so. I would take that. Trading places with that guy. Okay. So if you are sourcing wholesale, like Alejandro in the group, it's different. If you order your goods, you're going to spend most of your time listing. Okay, this is a really good example. So Alejandro in the group he's buying bulk, right? Items come in, he's picking from those particular items to list. Even when you do that, though, when you buy bulk, you try, if you can, not to list every item. You try to list at least the best items first, maybe lot up the lower items. So I'm going to ask people in this group today this specific question. How can you make $100,000 profit? I'm not talking about who cares about anybody else? We're just talking about you specifically. So we'll start with James. James, you want to chat? You just turned your video off.
No, sorry, I muted myself by mistake, but
how can you make £100,000? What do you have to do? What does your schedule look like?
Yeah, this is my target this year, especially now with moving more into clothing. And it's come at a good time, this conversation that Tech's been saying about actually sourcing less items, but spending more time sourcing. So for me, I am going to try and be a bit more selective, especially when I'm at the car boot sales, and concentrate on not trying to get hundreds of items every weekend, but trying to get, 50 great items at a weekend. And I've been thinking lots about the bronze, silver, and gold conversation we've had in the group many a time. And I used to always believe that gold items were the items that are £30 upwards profit-wise. But now my mentality is very much gold item is something that sells within 30 days, silver sells within 60 days, and the bronze sell anything over 60 days. So now when I'm picking up items, I'm looking more at the sell-through. And I think that way is going to help me select better items. But the sourcing aspect, it worries me a little bit in the UK whether we can get to as many places in a day compared to you guys in the US. Just because our charity shops are nothing compared to your thrift shops and bins. So that's the only thing that slightly worries me. So I'll be quite keen to know from anyone in the UK, especially who's doing this model, or even from you, Chris, a way around that really, because we can go to 10 charity shops. And I know Simon in the group, who's in the US at the moment, he'll spend a whole day traveling to charity shops and sometimes come back with 6 or 7 items. So I'm just keen to know your thoughts on that really, because that's the only thing that worries me about the model. I completely understand, and actually I want to list less items and still make the 100K. That sounds amazing. Who's not going to want to do that? But my fear is whether we can find enough of them items in the UK every single day.
That's a great question. So somebody in the group earlier this week said, are we just walking past the $20 items? That's the question. So as an example, hold on one second. Okay, so let's say I were to go to the thrift store with a GoPro, right? And I filmed every single item I looked at in my category. Is there somebody watching YouTube land that would be like, you left that $20 profit item behind?
Every time.
That's my question. I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Are we walking by those items because we don't know?
Yeah. And I can speak from my experience from just starting clothing. I'm definitely doing that. And even at the weekend, I got a big haul of good stuff like Carhartt and loads of American vintage stuff, which is going to be really good money. You know, they're going to be bangers. But the next thing, the next stall, someone goes, "Oh, you should have grabbed this. You should have grabbed this. You should," and that comes with knowledge. So knowledge is power, absolutely. So I think the more knowledge I gain, the easier it's going to be. And I know Jay in the chat said Jamie in the group doesn't struggle to, you know, he's smashing it, but he's got a couple of rack houses, so it's slightly different. And if you speak to Jamie, all of his items aren't £30 plus, and he's doing 70 listings a day, you know, so he's getting a lot of the £5 stuff,
Yep.
but he's also getting a few 100, £200 stuff that actually,
Yep.
you know, he can have 40 sales in a day, but he might have 5 which are at £20. He might have 10 at £15, and then he might have 1 or 2 which are 80, £90 sales. So he's got a big store and he's doing it that way round, where this method is a smaller store and kind of leaving behind them £5 and £10 items. And I think that's quite tough. I think I would struggle with that, because if I go and see a Ralph Lauren polo in a charity shop for £1 and I can get 10 to £12 overnight,
Yep.
it's going to be hard for me to leave that behind. And that's where my head's at with the model at the moment. It makes sense on paper. It makes perfect sense. I'm just trying to get my head around it.
Yes. So in theory, if we're only listing 13 items a day and we're just cherry picking, we would 100% leave the $1 polo that sells for $12. If you have more, most people have enough time though, which means that you could pick up that $1 and it doesn't count towards your 13. It's just extra credit.
Yeah.
So if you, I'm gonna find out. I'll go to the thrift and I'll look through as many and try to get an idea, because Tech was saying he looks through 200 items to find one, right? So if the person that has the biggest Rolodex has to look through 200 to find one, then are we looking through 2,000 to find one? Because we don't know. So that's the part that's making me wonder. And then how long is it taking us to look through 200? You know, if you're looking at toys or DVDs or whatever your category is, if it depends on like the setup of the thrift store too. So today specifically is about making 100K. So finding 13 items might be 13 stores.
Yeah, no, you're completely right.
Right.
And I think for me, the knowledge is absolute power. And we all know it comes down to that, because, you know, I probably flick through a rail, and with my lack of knowledge of clothing at the moment, I probably leave behind, as you say, 5, 10, 15 of them £30 bangers behind, not knowing the brands. Whereas if you know the brands, you're going to spend less time shopping overall, because let's be honest, Tech can go to one store realistically now of his knowledge and probably find a week's worth in one store, where for myself and some other people in the group, that might look like 50, 60, 70 stores to find the same amount. But that, it just comes down to knowledge.
That's 100% right. So it's going to take longer to find 13, because some people might walk into one store and in the first half an hour find 13 $20 items, and other people out there for 15 hours and don't find it.
Yeah.
It is definitely, that's why I wanted to add in every single Friday. Now we're going to just research in our own niches and see how big of a difference that is after 1 year. 1 year of spending 1 hour on Friday researching your goals. I was thinking about charging people for an additional thing, because like when people pay money, they're more serious, but I feel like you're already paying money. So on Friday, let's do the BOLO, figure out what's selling really well. And there's a couple of things I want to address here. The key is in the sourcing part, because if I just dropped off 13 $20 items onto your porch, everybody here could do that, right? Because you would have all day. But in this scenario, we're giving you 1 hour to do the listing part, 7 hours to go shopping. I want to point out something from Alejandro. He's asking about money management because he's buying bulk. Isaiah also asked me this yesterday. He's like, how do you prioritize who to pay first? Your warehouse, your workers, your inventory. And I was thinking to myself, that's not, I never even think about that, because first off, you have to pay your employees first. There's no possible way you could be like, oh, sorry, this week I don't have enough money for you. That cannot happen. Okay. And also you need to be responsible enough that you have inventory for them to list. If they come to work and there's nothing to list, please still pay them. That's on you. That's not on them. Okay. They come to work and there's nothing to do because you're not organized. Congratulations. You just got a paid day off. Don't make people work for you and sometimes they don't get paid. That's ridiculous. So staff gets paid first, rent gets paid next, utility gets paid next. And if you pay yourself, right, you pay yourself first, then like if you have a salary. So for me, I have a salary, so I guess pay my salary first. Although I will tell you that if for some reason sales are really slow, I wouldn't pay myself that week. That's just part of being the owner. But if you only use profits to pay for the next lot, you don't have money management problems. It's only people who borrow money or buy beyond their listing capacity that have money management problems, because it compounds to the point where you can't spend it. Once you're selling like, I'd say 20 items a day, you can't even spend it. 20 items a day times $20 profit is $400. That's so much. Like, unless you're really buying over what you can list, you won't have money management problems. You have money management problems when you can only list 100 a week, but you buy 500 that week. Then you have to pay for the space. You can't list it. You need more people that are not trained. Trust me, I'm pretty sure I've made all the mistakes. All of the ones that you can think of where you are growing beyond where you're supposed to be growing. That's me. So I want to give you guys an analogy. How many of you could do a workout that's twice as hard as your normal workout? It's not possible. If you're lifting 100 pounds and you're like, tomorrow I'm gonna lift 200, no, everyone would say, no, you can't do that. But how come when someone's like at 10 listings, they're like, I'm gonna switch to 20 next week? How could you possibly list twice as many next week without all the wheels falling off your car? That's not possible. You have no system set up for that. You've been doing 10 with no draft bank. Now you want to do 20 next week with where? Like, it's really hard to double your goal. So like everyone here needs to be like, if you go into a thrift stores and you're only finding one item all day, you're not going to magically get the 13 items. It's going to take some time, right? Over the course of a year, can you find 13 items in a day? I'm confident everyone listening to this call right now can do that in 1 year. 1 year of consistently looking in one niche, you'll pick up 90% of the bolos or more, right? Or you'll know, okay, my goal is 13 a day, but today I found 4 pony shirts for $1 that will sell for 13. That's great. I did 17 today. Tomorrow back to my 13 normal. So Catherine, for this exercise and what we're going to do on Friday, we are going to assume an $8 buy cost, okay? Because that's the tech model. Things that sell for $30 and over, not including shipping. There are some items that you could buy for $1 and sell for $28, including shipping, and still make a $20 profit, but that's not what we're using for this exercise. This exercise is items that sell for $30 and over, and your buy cost is 8 or lower, to be more realistic, because otherwise you could just say, my uncle paid me $2 to take this from him, and I sold it for 19 and I made a $20 profit. Like, all of those exceptions we're throwing out. So buy cost of 8, sells for over 30, just to be safe. If you're a beginner, when you go to the thrift store, pass on the $1 and the 13. Why can't you just go to a few more thrift stores instead of picking that up? So that's the part that next week I'm going to challenge everyone in the group to this challenge. Ready? How many thrift stores could you go to in a week? I bet the number is crazy. Like, in a week, how many could you go to? Like, could you take one day and drive to a different state? Probably. In a week, how many could you look? I would say that everyone listening, within a week's time, you can definitely go to 50 thrift stores. I mean, how far is it from North Dakota to the nearest city? It can't be longer than 1 day drive. How long does it take to drive across the US? It doesn't only take 24 hours if you don't take a break. How long does it take? Let me see.
It's longer than that. It's 25 hours from Minnesota to Oregon.
Okay, so the record is 55 hours. Somebody drove for 55 hours with the team to drive from one side of the country to the other side of the country. So you don't need to do that, right? You don't need to set the world record for driving across the United States, and you don't need to drive from California to Maine to find something. Can we all agree to that on that? There's no reason to have to drive all the way across the country to find something. I can't believe it's 55 hours, by the way. That's really fast. 55-hour record across the US. That's 2.5 days. Okay. Okay, so Sam is gonna do New Jersey to Arizona, and it's 37 hours. Whew, that is far. But okay, let's say for some reason you needed to drive from New Jersey to Arizona. That's very far. Everyone know where those two places are? That's like most of the US, okay, 37 hours. So let's say she went from New Jersey all the way to Arizona, right? That's 37 hours. It's already 2 days of her week. She spent 2 days sourcing in Arizona at all the best places, and she finds 100 items. She drives 37 hours back to New Jersey. She could still get this listing goal done. She would spend 5 days driving, but she could still do it because it's only 7 hours of listing. John says he waited way too long to get a separate business account. He does 5% into emergency fund, 5% into operating expenses, 20% into business taxes. That's the smallest amount I would consider safe. 30% inventory budget, and his paycheck is 40%. I like that. There's a whole bunch of books based on your paycheck should be the largest amount from your profit, and that should go straight into an investment of some kind. So it could be more inventory, it could be whatever, but Alejandra, I've been where you've been at. You definitely do not want to have money management problems if you're buying bulk. That's very dangerous. It'd be better to only take those risks with big buys with profit. Ashley says 1,000 miles a day solo driving is largely the max. Okay, that's insane to me. Okay, so that means that how many people live within 1,000 miles of a major city? Gotta be most people. Anybody listening does not live within 1,000 miles of a big city. That's so far. Let's see. 1,000 miles at 65 miles an hour is 18 hours. Wow. Actually really putting it into perspective. You could drive the speed limit and still do this. Because the Cannonball Challenge, they're basically breaking the law the entire time crossing the US. So I don't know how long it would take if you just drove the speed limit from coast to coast. Oh, so here we go. We got a professional driver in the house. 750 a day is 11 hours in a semi. Let's go. That even sounds very dangerous, but that's the max for a professional driver. Wow, I love it. This is cool. We're really fleshing it out today, so you guys can figure out your schedule for how you want to make 100K. That's even if your goal is not $100,000 a year, I just want you to do this exercise so that you know that it's possible. Kelly, can you chat? Let's talk about your schedule. How could you do this?
Well, I'm very new to this. I only joined your group yesterday.
I love it.
So I'm struggling with a lot of stuff, which is I'm not fast enough listing.
Okay.
I was trying to get 50 a day on, but I think you're going to say that was just way too much. So
Okay, how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been on eBay for a while, but I've opened a shop 1st of March. I started my shop and I've got 830 listed. And so it's only 2 months, but I don't know how, but I got top rated seller within 6 weeks. So I'm really pushing it, but I've got 833 listed and I've sold 307 in 60 days. I don't know if that's good or not, but
That's great. exactly along the lines of how we want to do it in the group. Because if you're have 800 and you're selling 5 a day, that is more than 0.5% sell-through rate. So the slowest I would want to see is you averaging 4 sales a day. So over 60 days, the lowest I would want to see is 240. But I do think that you are listing too many. But your rate of sales is okay, which means you know what you're doing. You're not listing stuff that will just sit forever.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and do maybe 20 to 30 a day and stick at it every day, because I'm not consistent and I don't have a schedule, which is really messed me up. So I'm going to try and stick to your schedule going forward and see how I get on.
Can we throw you in the fire? Do you want to make one?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your so if we go so Michelle said yesterday she recommended that you start a draft bank so that you can be more consistent. So
Yeah.
just as an example for today, why don't we set your listing goal at 10?
Okay.
And any additional ones that you do put into the draft bank until you have 140 items in the draft bank. And at that point, you can raise your listing goal wherever you want to go. Okay, so let's set the goal at 10. Tell us about what your day looks like now.
It's just a mess. I just list when I have a bit of time. I've got 2 other jobs, got 3 children. My husband takes the photo. I list and draft everything, and then my husband comes home at 8 p.m. and then he does the photographs. So I don't do any photography and I don't do any business admin or anything. He controls all the finances. All I have to do is shop, which I love too much, and then I have to list. So that's all I have to do, as well as the children. And I've got a 5-hour admin job for my church, and then 1 day a week I do gardening for the elderly. So I've got 1 hour, 1 day gardening, and then 5 hours a week is admin for my church, and then the rest of the time I'm free.
Okay, is the admin time always at the same time for the church?
No, it can be whenever.
It can be whenever.
Mm-hmm. It's just a Thursday I don't have free. That's the only day.
What happens on Thursday?
I do gardening all day for the elderly.
Okay, so that is the same every week.
Yeah, it is the same. Yeah, I just don't have that time to list or source, really.
Are your kids on a schedule? Are they gone certain parts of the day usually?
Yeah, they're all at school or college.
Okay, so I would use those as the anchors. Like I would use your kids and your gardening job and maybe this call as anchors in your day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a schedule and you have a list of things that you do that seems like you just keep track of in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely need a schedule. So I would recommend customer service and shipping in the morning. Is that possible?
Yeah.
When do you wake up?
I can wake up whenever. It doesn't matter. I just get distracted easily.
And then when do you go to bed?
10, 11.
And then do you usually spend time with your family at night, or when do you want to be done?
I'm flexible. I'm not worried too, really. My daughter goes to bed at 7 and the other 2 are not interested. They're too old. They're like 18, 19, so they're not interested in spending time with me. They're just on the Xbox or whatever.
Fair enough. And then when are you typically sourcing?
Well, Wednesday morning there's a car boot, and then Saturday and Sunday we have car boots, and then charity shops the rest of the week. But I will tell you, I've got about 2,000 items that I have not listed, but they're not great items. They're not these £30 profit or 30 into 20. So I don't know whether I should just put them on my private account, which I've got about 500 on, and then just start now looking for the good items.
If you start looking for better items, you'll definitely have less unlisted, which is good. Ideally, we don't want any money tied up in items that are not listed. Okay, so first thing, we're definitely going to increase your threshold for what you buy, just so that we can reduce this pile. Because it's okay if you go to the car boot sales and come back with less things now because you already have things that you want to list. Did you have an income goal before you started this group?
Well, I would like to make 100K next year, but
okay, let's do it.
I'd like to work up this year, get all the knowledge from the group, and then next year smash it out.
Okay. So is there a per item profit goal that you feel comfortable with?
No, I mean, I was taking anything from like 5 to 10, but listening to what you're saying, it's just it's not worth it.
It's
It's
difficult
better to get the right.
with your busy life. I don't know if you can sustain. You were talking about being inconsistent with listing. With 3 kids and family duties and 3 different side hustles that are things that take up your time, I don't think it's realistic to have a 50 a day listing goal. It's too much. So what I would do is I would do 10 a day, or actually, this is going to sound crazy from someone who just said 50, but maybe 5 a day of the great items.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day, you can list this 2,000 item thing and just list those at really excellent prices so they will move quickly. But the focus on 5 great items. And then I think you should have a customer service shipping schedule in the morning as early as possible. I recommend 7 in the morning, but I'm going to set a goal for you to be done with your eBay by it's 2:00, 2:40 for you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
You should be done with your eBay before the call, which is in 2 p.m. I think for you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Super. Thank you.
So I think how I would approach it is, do you get better stuff from the car booths than the thrift?
No, I mean, I've got some good stuff from the thrift that are like £150 items. So no, but I just see it and I want to buy it because I think I can make money on it, which is not the right mentality.
James, how do you split your time between car booths and thrift?
Car boots are always Saturday and Sunday, and I've got similar to Kelly with a Wednesday. I've got a Wednesday midweek one. I could also go to a Tuesday and a Thursday midweek one if I wanted to. So there's quite a lot of, especially peak summer, loads of options. Charity shop wise, I go to my one down the road twice a day, Monday to Friday. But it's walking distance. But I don't go to any other charity shops really, just because they're so expensive.
I see. So both of you need a route that you can do for like 6 months, because I want to see so I've been going to the same flea market for 3 years. I feel like I know everyone now, so that's like a huge advantage because I can get what I'm looking for from a tool seller because they don't know how to, they're not looking for that. So I think let's call it 5 sourcing events for both of you, actually 5 sessions where you go look for things and then just keep track of how many items you're finding I'll set the minimum goal of 15 pounds per item. And I'm okay if you guys only find one per session in the beginning, because then, James, do you have stuff that's unlisted too or no?
Yeah, so because I'm making a move away from everything, just before I decided to make a move, I put out some leaflets in the area asking for stock. And now I've made a contact of some guy and I'm getting some crazy bits from him. And I go see him now every 2 weeks. So I've kind of got, I'll probably get about 600 every 2 weeks from him anyway, of the everything side. But what that's allowed me to do is to spend more time actually learning clothing. So now when I go out to the car boot sales, it's predominantly clothing stuff I'm picking up. So it's kind of paying the bills, the everything side. And then the clothing side is actually helping me for the complete niche over.
Yep.
I was saying last night on the UK call that if I didn't have this contact, I would switch 100% clothing today. Yep. But I would be absolutely foolish to leave this money on the table because we're talking thousands.
Perfect. So I have that too. I have other niches that would be silly to turn down, and I just it's just a separate business.
Sorry, Chris, I was going to say with that situation, and I probably have got at the moment about 800 items that I'm working for at the moment, and it's a lot because I'm taking from this guy, 500-600 every 2 weeks. I'm taking from this guy, but with regards to that now, I still find myself going to the charity shop to buy because I'm picking up clothing at the charity shop £1 and it's 15-20 pound consistently. And today I walked down there and got 12 bits for £12 and it's, a couple of £100 worth. But at what point do I say to myself, stop?
Okay, I think I have an idea. So Tech's model of 13 times 20 is the same as 18 times $15 profit.
Yeah.
Okay, so 13 and 18 to me is the same. It's not that much different where it's ruining your life. So 13 to 18 is still under 20 items per day, and 15 pounds is more reasonable. So if you are out looking, the safest way would be to find only 20-pound item profit, right? Because then your store would only grow. But if you are picking up 15, it's not going to ruin your life in the beginning, but it'll allow you and Kelly to both sell down your unlisted stuff. Because even if Kelly paid £3 per item, that's 6,000 pounds just sitting there, right? So I'd rather have both of you sell down those pounds. And then if you have anyone listening right now has a contact for something separate, like as an example, I don't sell jeans on Whatnot, but I still buy 500 pairs of jeans a week. I just consider that a different business. That's not related to my daily listing goal, which for me personally is 150 a day. So I was looking at what your capacity is. And if you have something that's outside your niche, it just needs to be a separate business. And you have to realize this is something totally different that's going to take more time on top of my existing goal. So it's like maybe clothing is what pays the bills and the other things are the extra credit.
Yeah, no, I think that's what I'm kind of doing. And the struggle I'm having at the moment, and I'm trying to work through this, is I'm trying to build up my draft bank to a really high level. But what's happening at the moment is when I go and do these sourcing trips, so I go and see them every other Friday. I don't know how anyone else does it, but once you go and source for half a day on Friday, I feel absolutely wiped out. And I have no energy to think about listing. And that's when I dig in and eat into the draft bank. And then we got bank holidays coming up. So it's all about family time and doing bits. So I struggle with that as well. So I'm kind of at the point, Chris, of planning another 24-hour live stream just for myself to get that draft bank back up. And once it's back up there, then do the whole method of just adding to it every single day. But I think the hardest point is getting to that draft bank. Because I'm the same point as Kelly at the moment where I'm listing every day. I haven't missed a day this year, but I don't want to be having to, after car boot sales and spending the whole morning sourcing on a Saturday and Sunday, to then have to say to the wife, oh, sorry, I know you're off this weekend, but I need to be down the shed listing my 40 items, So, yeah, my head's all over the place at the moment, Chris. I'm in a really good place. eBay is the best it's ever been for me. And I'm loving the clothing. I'm loving its contacts. I've got other sort of hands in fires and stuff where I don't have to go out every day to source, which is nice. But I've probably got too much stuff right now that I need to probably just say, like you're saying there, when I go out this weekend sourcing, to only buy them gold items and leave everything else behind for the next 2 or 3 weeks until I've got all this other stuff listed. Because otherwise what's going to happen is I'm going to be in Jen's room next time and probably burning most of it in the garden. And I don't want to waste money. So
Matt, did you have something to chime in? He had his hand raised earlier.
Yeah, this is just like with the jeans, for example, from yesterday, like with the $5 profit that the guy was getting.
Yep.
So in situations like that, I've talked with Isaiah a lot with this, and so if it's like a lower, less than the $20, or let's say around $10 profit, but it's it almost counteracts if it's low processing and and a fast sell through. So to me, it feels like some of those items are okay to have as long as they're not just taking up space in the house or in your storage and they move fast.
It's just extra on top of the regular goal. So you can have the 13 times 20 goal, right? That's your main goal that you want. But then you pick up other things that just have to remember that doesn't count towards your 1320.
Well, but if we're talking about averages, they can, because if you have those items that are $10 items that move fast, but you also have $30 items that might take a little bit longer, if it's averaging out, if your average profit is still right around 20, but the processing time on the lower cost of good or the lower sale items, isn't that going to still average out? I understand what you're saying is we want to pick up more quality items.
I understand what you're saying, but then I also, I'll give you guys a couple of examples. One is Tino, the sole advisor. He has 10,000 items in his store. Every single one's over $20 profit. He just decided that we're not going to sell anything under $20 profit. So there's none of, there's all items that take a little bit longer to sell, but have the profit that we are looking for. They want to sell 1,000 shoes per month at $20 profit. That's the goal for that business. You can pepper it in, right? So that but I'm just saying, I personally wouldn't count the under $20 profit items in the 1320 model. I would just have it be extra credit, because I think that separation mentally is what's going to get Kelly and James into a different mindset, because picking up things that are profitable and having it count towards the 13 because you picked up a banger for $100 pound or this crazy profit goal is not the same thing, in my opinion. I just think that you got one really great item today and some other extra credit items, and then you work your way towards getting 13 really good items a day. Because when Tech was showing that screenshot from him, he has like 60 items in a row over $50. That's how you get rich. We're talking like, we're not, of course you can get by with mixing it up so it averages, but what about every item is a banger? That's a totally different way of looking at it. So I just want people personally to separate. If it's not $20, or let's just say 15 to $20 profit, it's a different thing. So you're like, okay, this is the Kelly and James model. Extra credit that sells fast. It's okay, but like the extra credit that sells fast is really hard. You have to do like, I remember I met this guy at eBay Open that said that his turnaround time was like 2 weeks, but he had to sell millions of dollars of stuff just to make 6 figures. He had to sell $2 million worth of stuff to make 100K, because stuff that sells that fast usually doesn't have a really high margin. It just made me think, wow, you could do 200,000 in sales and make 100K profit, but it's only these like higher profit, slower moving items. So it's just interesting thinking about that. I just think it should be separate. People are talking, or to address James's question about being completely worn out. Mandy says the same thing. Sourcing wears her out. For me, it's the driving that makes me tired. So I'm not 100% sure how to psych yourself up, because I personally don't like driving. That's why I like the flea market, because I feel like the flea market or a boot sale is like multiple thrift stores in one. I'd rather go 1 day all day than every day 3 hours. Brent is asking, do I think eBay would be more likely to funnel you higher cost customers? Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, so essentially the question that Brent is asking, I don't know how to ask it, but eBay will give you the type of traffic for the type of items that you have. So if you only have, if you're Tino the sole advisor and every single one of your items is priced at market or higher, right? They don't send cheap ass people to that store because they wouldn't buy. They send people who are looking, like people who look through all 50 shoes and pick the one that they like. That's the person they send to that type of store, because every single shoe is perfectly displayed. They're looking for deals though. Maybe they send every single customer. This is a really good question, because I feel like for Tech Store, they send every kind of customer. You're looking for a great deal, go to Tech Store. You're looking for the most rare stuff in the world, Tech Store. Everybody go this way. Best promotions, go this way. Coupon, this way. Best deal, this way. Biggest selection, this way. Everything is pointing that direction. So you want all this stuff eventually. But in the beginning, just start with the high. Johnny?
Yeah. being a victim of 52, whatever low tier items a day.
52.5.
I know, right? I'm at 622, so I'm a little better, not by much though. But shifting models here, I'm gonna drop my listing goal down to probably around 30 because I think I can get 30 plus dollar items to list a day. Now, in doing so, yeah, it's gonna break my store slightly, get a slap on the wrist, whatever. But when should I start seeing the catch up results based off what's currently in my store, plus injecting only $30 plus items? When will I? Is that a year later kind of deal, or
This is a great question because Matt was saying, can you offset the items that are make more profit but take longer to sell with
right?
those fast-paced, lower profit items? And I think it takes a year.
Full year, okay.
Yeah, I think to really get everything to catch up and
I'm sure I'll see a gradual incline, but
gradually.
I won't really like, oh wow, I made it here. Yay. Okay, so it's a year.
Yeah, there's something about buying. Like I've thought about like Kelly before and go to the thrift store and like so satisfying to buy 200 profitable items, right? Everything that's profitable goes in the cart. And it's different than like, I'm here really looking for the best items in the store. That's not the same experience. You know, it's like because you're literally saying, no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough.
Well, here's a follow-up question to that. Well, I'm at 52 right now. I was thinking about just dropping it to 30. Should I just get all the 30 ASPs I can, and then the rest, those faster moving, lower profit items, and keep the 52? Because I'm trying to allow myself time to source as well. So that's also another reason I was thinking about lowering my listing goal to be able to do that.
That's a good question. I just think it's separate. I think your 56 times 5 model makes sense in media.
Yeah.
Because when we did that experiment with you and we figured out you need 400,000 items in your store.
Yeah.
And everyone listening is like, oh, 400,000 listings sounds crazy. And then you look at stores that have that, they've done it. And
they've done it, and they're listing the same stuff I am.
The same stuff as you. And I'm thinking that actually is realistic in that category. So it's I think it's just separate. The expensive books versus the mass books, those are two different models. It's almost like I think it's okay to put them in the same store, but those are different types of
well, I don't know then.
Yeah.
Back to where I started.
Because it's easier to do the 30 by 30 model, but it takes a lot of research.
Right.
Versus the 56 times 5 is way less research, way more processing.
Yeah.
Sam, you said everyone eBay sends every customer to your store as well. I would agree with that. You get all the people looking for your category coming. Sam, can we talk about your day for a minute? Finish out the call. What you're pretty.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
I want to know what your day looks like.
Wake up, come in the office, pick out which bills on the list, take them out of their straps, picture them, list them, ship the items that have sold, get ready to go to town, go to the banks, well, post office first, bank, Walmart if we need something, and then come back.
What time are you done?
I can get done in like probably 5-6 hours, 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
And how
But
many?
it depends because I have babies. Sometimes I have to peel off and go help with that, or I go and eat breakfast. So I kind of have a lot of interruptions, but so it varies.
And how many are you listing a day?
Well, it was 100, but I dropped it down to 25, and then I raised it to like 35 right now.
Yeah.
So I'm at 35.
But you
Okay.
are like you're like one of the eBay stores that I would recommend people model because you're done at a reasonable time. Your eBay day is 5 or 6 hours. That's sustainable even with distractions.
Yeah.
Because no one's gonna have days where they don't get interrupted.
Yeah. If I didn't have any distractions, I think it'd be a lot quicker. And but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, YouTube, we're gonna say goodbye. We're gonna move over to our beginner